instance, that you get a group of students and they're very shy, and because they're not used to speaking, and to think of ice-breaking techniques that make them forget themselves. An ice-breaking exercise, just as an example, you get the whole group into, you need a bit of a bigger space for this, but you can go out onto the corridor, onto the school courtyard or something, and then you say, now we're going to do a little exercise. Everybody thinks of a partner in this group, and the object is to get as close as possible to that partner. Okay, start. And then they all start moving, trying to get as close as possible to the person they chose. But that person also is trying to get as close as possible to the person they chose. And you get this weird sort of moving around, running and stopping and looking. Sometimes some person chose the same person and then they get together very quickly. That's funny when that happens. But anyway, they get moving around and they forget themselves very quickly. And it goes faster and faster, and you say, okay, stop. From that moment on, the ice is broken, and then you can go on improvising, speaking in a way you don't normally speak. That's one exercise. So, if you want children to speak, you need to give them something to say. And usually, the other two then take care of themselves, so they will know how to say it when they've got something to say. And if they know how to say it and they have something to say, then also they will dare to say it. So I tell them a little story, a very, very simple story. So something like a Nasruddin story. Now what we do with this, we divide the class into two groups, and one group goes into one corner, and there I tell them this story, and the other group goes into the other corner, and I tell them a completely different story. And while I tell the second group the story, the first group rehearses the main points of the Nasruddin story. And when both groups have their story, we get them together in a big circle. In two circles, in fact. So we have an inner circle looking outwards and an outer circle looking inwards. So we get couples facing each other. And then we can say, all right, those who heard the Nasruddin story tell that story to their partners. And when that's finished, the inner circle tells their story to the outer circle, partners. And I have found that gets children who've never said very much in their English learning careers to start talking. It's quite amazing actually why. But the daring to say has been solved to a certain extent by the fact that there's only one person listening and not the whole class, for instance. Of course everybody's talking at the same time, but well, they're used to that anyway. They're very good at concentrating in spite of the fact that everybody else is talking. And it's like a little private conversation going on between two all at the same time. Sounds like a railway station, but they're telling each other the stories. That's the remarkable thing about it. And it's great fun. And this is something that can go on for the next 5, 6, 7 lessons. So for instance, we could repeat it the next lesson, and by moving the children. So you go back into the same pattern. Everybody's got their partner, and then you say, okay, the outer circle now moves 2 people further down to the right. So you get a new partner. You do the same exactly the same exercise again. And it's interesting to discover that you can do the same story again if there's another person listening to you. You do it just the same as you did the first time. And then the inner circle tells their story back again. And in the third lesson you can do something completely different again. You can get the outer circle to tell the story that they heard from their partners, and the other way around as well. So they are telling a second story. And what's interesting is when you change the partners, that everybody notices that the story isn't exactly the same. So everybody heard different things, and everybody maybe has a different way of saying the same thing, and that makes it really interesting. And at some stage, of course, they all want to hear the original version again, and that's a wonderful moment, because then you begin to see how the actual grammar sounds and how the actual words sounded, and usually the original is shorter.